Hey guys, welcome back to another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. We're going to go ahead and cover an updated Extreme Intelligence team. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new for more content. And I want to say that I haven't done like a team build video in a while because I covered a lot of them and I haven't really too much cared about the way that the category teams are. I feel like there's way too many options in some of them, like Gohan's, for example, to where, you kind of just play it however you want. It doesn't really matter. And I also feel like we're at a point where best this, best that doesn't necessarily matter anymore anyway, excuse me. So keep that in mind. But for this, we will try to formulate the most cohesive and quote-unquote best team for Extreme Intelligence now that Bojack is a thing. Hope you guys enjoy it. Now let's go ahead and break this down. So the main issue with Extreme Intelligence is that Kid Buu as a unit and as a leader, he's a great leader, right? The 120% up to extreme types for intelligence and all that, 3 key, perfect. But Kid Buu individually lacks key links, excuse me. So that being said, he wasn't very cohesive. The team had to run a certain way, run certain units to make sure that they can always super attack. And I have a very good example of this coming up. Make sure that you stay tuned because I did find a friend 100% Kid Buu, and I altered the team a little bit to make sure that we basically consistently super attack for that showcase. So I will be uploading that probably tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But with that in mind, this leader skill that Bojack has is a very welcome leader skill. Extreme types now get 4 key instead of the 3 key, and they kind of trade that off for the 20% debuff as far as like not as much. They don't actually get debuff, but they get 20% less to the stats, which in my opinion isn't that big of a deal. It doesn't necessarily matter. So for the purpose of this, I've laid out just about every unit I think should really be considered for this. Now, there are other units that can be considered. Not to say that, for example, this unit's better than another unit that you don't see here. It's just some of them are niche and can be used in different scenarios. For example, Hit's a really good unit, just not a part of this list because he's not going to make my final cut. Doesn't really matter. Celza, another really good intelligence unit. Doesn't really matter. Android 18, good orb changer. Doesn't matter. As far as this specific video goes, I want to kind of hammer home that different units have different usages in different scenarios. So again, a unit like this guy is a good debuffer, King Piccolo, so he would work on this team in different scenarios. So I wanted to kind of make sure that I laid that out there in case you don't see somebody in here, because every time I do these, I get, hey, what about so-and-so? They're not a part of this simply because of that reason, because I felt like there are probably better units that are good at what they're good at. So as far as this goes, my basic layout is as such. I don't have the Intelligence Bardock yet. He's not a part of this list, so I have to use the AGL one. So just for simplicity's sake, AGL and Intelligence share just about every single link, except this one has Legendary Power because he's an LR, and he does not have the Wall Standing Tall. They share every other link. This one has Wall Standing Tall. The other one has Revival, which is actually a lot better. So that'll be another link that gets factored into this. Now, also, Frieza came out in the time span that I haven't done one of these videos. Let's go ahead and dissect this. So, of course, the leader is going to be Buhan, or excuse me, not Buhan. Wow, that was a throwback. Bojack, right? Bojack would be your leader. You could take a Kid Buu friend. You could take a Bojack friend, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to operate on the premise that you're taking a Kid Buu friend, even though Bojack would be a better unit individually. For now, I'm focusing on the extra 20% and 1 Bojack, 1 Kid Buu lead, and I'll tell you how to alter the team a little bit for the double Bojack leads in a minute. So for now, these are your 2 units that you already have on the team because you're automatically running Kid Buu on the team, even if he's not your leader, because Kid Buu's incredible, and he really just needs a little bit of support to function really well. So on top of that, you are running this guy. So we're going to actually go through and eliminate some of these units that are not necessarily needed for the build. This Frieza wasn't even supposed to make the cut, really. Not a bad unit, but not good. Android 17, very good unit, but just he's good self-sufficiency, just not good enough. We have a layout of support units in the bottom right corner, by the way. Very good support unit here. This Trunks offers 3 key and defense. Just there's better options here. Super Baby, good unit, but again, not a part of my final list. And I'm going to weed out probably, well, I think that the next one that's pretty obvious is the Buu Piccolo. I'm going to weed him out, and then we'll kind of go from there. So now that I've kind of cleared this up a little bit, cleared up the cluster a little bit, what do we have? So we have 3 units. So we have this guy, well, not really that guy, but you get what I mean, the intelligence version, and that guy. These are your 3 pillars if you have all these units, right? So what do you want to kind of establish from here? This guy is pretty much mandatory. That incredible support passive, not even for the key, but the key is welcomed, right? But that passive for the increase is always welcomed, and he links pretty well across the board for the most part with the big bad bosses there. Now, here's an interesting scenario because Bojack and Frieza can kind of work as proxy tanks, meaning that they're able to block a lot of hits pretty well, so you don't necessarily need Janemba. Janemba would be a safety option, but here's the kicker. I'm going to tell you that in order to run Bojack, especially if you're doing double Bojack or if you're doing Bojack, Kid Buu, whatever, your own Kid Buu lead, Bojack friend, your Bojack, Kid Buu friend, whatever, I'm going to say that a dark horse option for this is going to be this guy. I totally forgot how incredible orb changers are, and to kind of elaborate on that, the ones that make a specific color rainbow are probably one of the most valuable assets in this game as far as orb changing goes, because they can simply open up a lot of orb paths. And if you're not in agreement with that, just make sure that you check out the video that I talked about. It's going to be coming. He is on that team, and he helps a lot. So an incredible unit. So now we have 5 units. And you may think, hey, obvious inclusion, Buhan. I'm going to say Buhan makes the cut if you're not running Janemba. If you're running Janemba, he takes that slot. And like I said before, Janemba makes the team if you want to play safely, play defensively. Simply for cohesiveness, I will say they both link pretty much the same across the board. These 2 are good options if you don't have this guy, but I kind of feel like this guy is the best support simply because of that. He does not offer the attack and defense, but either way, Bojack wants a bunch of ki because he wants to be able to launch his Ultra Super Attack. This guy can probably help him the most get that, and especially if you're running 2 Bojacks, you know, Kid Buu needs some orbs. It's pretty wild with Kid Buu, which is why you're running the double supports. He simply does not have the links. So you're going to come across scenarios like once every few turns where they simply can't super attack very often, and that could have been easily mitigated by giving him Fear and Faith or Shocking Speed or both, but they purposely didn't. So now we're going to knock off these 2. Like I said, they're good sub options if you need them, but we're going to take them off for the purpose of this. It pains me. Get out of there. Pains me to get rid of Turles, though. So as far as this goes, the interesting thing about this is I don't even know if Kid Buu is good enough to be on rotation. You know, you can have a rotation of Bojack and Frieza and then another one of Bojack and Kid Buu. If you look at it, Bojack and Kid Buu share a couple of links here. What are they? They're big bad bosses, and, well, Wall Sang Tall doesn't actually count because this one has it, but the other one doesn't. So they would only share big bad bosses. This Vegeta would pop in once every 3 turns, assuming he's off of rotation. Bojack and Frieza are not linking right here, but they do share a 2 key link, which would be Revival. Does this Frieza not have big bad bosses? He doesn't even have big bad bosses. That's funny. Never noticed that about this Frieza. That's really interesting, but they gave him some of the other links, which is fine. Anyways, so they would link for 2 key automatically with that. So that's a great rotation, these 2. And then, of course, they have the offensive and defensive versatility. Because, like I said, I think Frieza gets 50% defense up. Yes, he does. So they both can kind of work as proxy tanks because Bojack gets a defensive improvement as well. I think he gets a couple of them, depending on your HP. So ordinarily, I would just flat out say, honestly, because I'm the safer player, this would fit for me, and then Buhan would be the first sub off the bench. That's kind of where we're at here, because here's the scenario with Buhan. He's going to link with Kid Buu incredibly, right? He's going to link with Kid Buu incredibly, and he'll link a little bit across the board, too. You see Shocking Speed with Frieza and things like that. But at the end of the day, if Kid Buu's questionable, which I think Kid Buu fully deserves the slot of being on the second rotation, simply due to limited options. And if you're playing defensively, maybe Janemba takes that slot and being on rotation and Kid Buu's off. But the scenario is if Kid Buu, who's outright a better unit, it's not really debatable, is barely able to make the rotation depending on the play style, then there's not a slot for this guy to be on. So then you have a scenario where if Kid Buu's on, once every 3 turns, you'll see Buhan and Kid Buu linked together. It's not really worth it at that point. And then on top of that, his healing it's completely power crept at this point. He heals like, 3,000 HP per orb? He's really orb hungry. You're not really healing much. That's completely like a non-factor at this point. and he only gets 12% more attack. Buhan is just, he's outdated now. And in a scenario like this, he kind of gets kicked off the team because of the fact that we added 2 really good units. If we didn't have even one of these guys, he would automatically be in. But again, it just kind of comes down to your playstyle. I want to make sure that I explain the point because I know a lot of people will get mad because Buhan's not on the team, but it's just kind of where we're at. He's so old at this point. He's really old. And of course, he's still an incredible individual unit, but I feel like I've kind of explained my point enough. Just kind of really quick, take a look at him just to make sure I'm right. 12% and 3,000 per orb, and he's not going to get very many orbs on this team, so it is what it is. And then you don't want to have a scenario where Buhan isn't getting a super attack either. So I'm sorry if you're a Buhan fan. I just don't think he's good enough anymore to be on the team. But of course, you're going to have the people that hate the support units and would rather just put Buhan on for one of the supports, which is fine with me. You just won't super very often sometimes, but it is what it is. But like I said, you can also do that, right? That's not a bad thing either. You can also, to be fair, you can also drop both of them and run another support on there for a bit more consistency. That's going to be a faster build anyway. Incorporating Turles or Metacooler, that's going to be a faster build than running Buhan or Janemba in that last slot anyway. It's going to be faster because Bojack will have the power and the key to get his Ultra Super off a little bit more consistently, and he'll just one-shot everything anyway, right? That rotation of either Bojack and Kid Buu or double Bojack, Bojack, Kid Buu 1, Bojack and Frieza, the next one, which is probably the best way to run the team anyway, because 2 Bojacks is, like I said, better than Kid Buu, but I try to be a little bit more conscious to the people that may or may not have one of them. But I guess it's a team building video and it doesn't really matter. So I'm kind of rambling at this point. Just wanted to make sure I kind of explained everything. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. I don't know if I put the Dabura Awakening in here, but he's a solid option too as far as key support. He doesn't always give the attack and defense buff, though. It's kind of why he doesn't really make the final cut for me. But like I said, you can alter these teams to fit your play style. There's only a couple that are really mandatory, to be fair. But anyways, have an awesome day, and I thank you guys for the support, and I'll catch you guys in the next Dokkan video. Take it easy, guys.